What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, filling in for Brian Marigold from Video Gamer. No, just kidding. He's not even real. On today's show, we're going to be talking about. My screen went blank. I don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about Valve has clarified what games need to quality for Steam qualify. Sorry, for Steam Machine and Steam Frame verification. But it details are raising a little concerns for a lot of people. We're also going to talk about the Xbox new Xbox or the Xbox mode for Windows 11, designed to bring consoles like performance and features to a PC. The console is a PC, so that's where we're going with that. We're also going to watch ACG's review of the John Carpenter's Toxic Commando and many more on today's show. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. If you'd like to help us out in other ways, you can, all the music that plays before the show, before the live morning show, you can go stream it on Pandora, iHeart, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. You can download it, you can stream it, you can buy it. All those things are there. And there's also an apparel store link down below. All the news stories, all the videos that we watch on every day of the show, we give credit to those people in the description down below. So if you have any questions or want a link, just go down to the description down below. We always share the people's channels over there. Make sure you give them a like, give them a follow, a subscribe, whatever it is. Appreciate you. What's going on, chat? What's going on, Water? All Turn, Eclipse, Stealth, Magic, what's going on? Jesse Mack, good morning. Roic, Ward, good morning. Roadkill, what's going on, buddy? How's those silver prices going for you? Dolphin, congratulations on finding a new place. All right, let's start off with our favorite Valve. Valve clarifies. So Valve clarifies what require for a game to be Steam Machine and Steam Frame verified, but it just makes me worry about the GameCube even more. This comes from Nick Evanson from PC Gamer. If you guys like what we do, we just cover news stories, have conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I just give you my thoughts and opinions on the thing that we read, and then we get your thoughts and opinions. This is a 100% interactive show with chat, bring you up on stream as well. And if you don't pick your stuff to go up on the stream, if you want yours read out loud by not this sexy voice of mine, you can use the TTS up above. Link is in the pinned comment. So at this year's GDC event in San Francisco, Valve gave a talk on Steam hardware. Before we get started,
Magic Dolphin 474 celebrates 31 months of membership. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you very much for the continued support of 31 months. Appreciate you, Dolphin. I got over being sick. I'm doing better. We're about to go on a little vacay. We're going on a little vacay. I leave tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. We're driving up to North Georgia. So we'll be doing a little bit of a hiking trip and stuff. So what's going on, August? Good morning. So at this year's GDC event in San Francisco, Valve gave a talk to its Steam hardware family. It says focusing on what developers needed to do to ensure that the games get verified, not for Steam Deck, but for the forthcoming Steam Machine and the highly anticipated Steam Frame VR headset. Starting with the Steam Machine, Valve notes that it's one of the very simple box to tick off. It's verified for the deck. It'll be for the machine. Well, not quite. The hardware inside the Steam Machine is considerably more potent than the deck. Hence that they're also targeting 30 frames per second, 1080p to get performance verification. So the Steam Machine verified, again, this is to get verified. Obviously, they want sort of like parity for what was going on for Microsoft when the S and the X came out. See, now I just want to keep the energy level the same. I've always been the same, right? You're only as good as your lowest common denominator. The common denominator is the handheld. Okay, the common denominator for Xbox was the Xbox Series S. It had to run on the lowest platform well before it could run on the other ones, right? So the other ones, everyone always complained that Xbox was being held back by the S. So now, the Steam Machine verified, all deck verified games are machine verified. Same input expectations as the deck. 30 frames per second, 1080p for verified performance, 6 times the Steam Deck. Not testing display resolution for legibility. Update the API to detect hardware. It says there's no mention of upscaling for the frame generation, which this requirement, you can safely assume that it's all native. It says 30 frames per second doesn't sound great, but if the game is entirely GPU limited to the scenario, then the upscaling would certainly make a significant difference. Okay. It says to get the Steam Machine verification, games will need to meet the same input requirements as the deck. But it's also, since they've all been using the decent size monitor on TV or GameCube, there's no need to hit any targets for display resolution legibility. When it comes to the Steam frame, there's no verification process for the games, and they get streamed to your VR headset because they're also running natively on your PC. However, the standalone play, i.e. using the frame's ARM chip, does have verification requirements, which the performance being 90 frames per second for VR games. Anything 2D, though, needs to hit a 30 frames per second at 720p. So here's the slide for that. Steam frame verified for a standalone play only. VR and non-VR games will be tested. Okay, input fully playable with the Steam frame controls. Performance of standalone VR titles are 90 frames per second. The standalone 2D titles are 30 frames per second at 1280 by 720, and then legible UI. As things have progressing since the first announcement, Valve's new hardware, I've become less interested in the Steam Machine, but far more sold on the frame. These requirements for verification only cement these impressions further, because certainly not keen on playing any PC games at 30 frames per second, knowing the basics of the minimum requirement, and certainly not unusual for the world on console, but 2025, it's not 2005. It says, general, try to support different display aspect ratios, support offline mode, including on first runs, don't have graphic settings to the cloud, and show all settings even in the detecting platform. It says, anyway, for the rest of the talk, Valve highlighted some of the key aspects that developers should focus on when making games to run on the Steam OS. Of particular note was the suggestion that the game would support offline mode, including the first run, and also, Frank, that would also really be a requirement. Now, following the Valve stress the optimizing lower specs of machines expand your audience, something should also be shouted from the rooftops everywhere. Plus, more controller users are all the time, and developers should be future-proofing for future SteamOS devices. The only thing that certainly confirms that the Valve is still full steam ahead. No point intended, I guess, huh? If you pardon the pun. Oh, there is a pun. With the new hardware, despite the misery of global memory crisis. So, I think a lot of people are taking this and taking it out of proportion. Now, obviously, they're making sure that because the Steam Deck's there, that it has to run at the lowest possible thing. The Steam Machine can handle the 60 frame, the 30 frame, right? And everyone's like, uh-oh, the Steam Machine's only going to... So they think that everyone that is making a game for PC that's coming to the Steam Deck is going to be 30 frames per second. That's not the case, right? But a lot of people, I think, are assuming that, but a lot of developers, right now, right? Steam even said, the majority of people that play on Steam are mid-tier machines. And they say that the Steam Machine will be higher than the mid-tier, right? It'll be above what the mid-tier people have. So this will be actually better for people if they got this instead of buying, a regular PC. Now, mind you, we still don't know the price of this thing. But if it's the same as the mid-tier, as the 3060s, right, I would assume. But right, that's what most people have, right? 3050s, 3060s and stuff like that. Chat, you guys know more than I do. You guys follow that more. But that's what this is competing against, right? It's getting into that market. And instead of Steam just being the launcher, basically, or the store, they are now putting their boxes in to get that more money into their ecosystem and their own console themselves. So I think a lot of people are worried because they're like, oh my God, that means everything that's coming out is going to be 30 frames per second. That's not what's happening here. But because they have a Steam Deck, and they have to make sure that, because it'd be stupid if things are running on the Steam Deck, but they can't run on the other, you know what I mean? So you have to go for the lowest common denominator. The common denominator, it's like 60% of 3060s. Thank you, Eclipse. Right? So it just makes you, people when they say certain things, and they're like, the way he's talking in this is like, oh my God, this is not what we want. Well, this is what they're giving you because the average person that buys a computer is, as Eclipse says in the chat, it's like 60% at the 3060s. Okay. Not everyone has the 50 series. Not everyone has the 90 series and stuff like that. Right. So we'll see what happens when it comes out. We're still waiting for that price. There's also talks about, obviously, it got pushed a little farther back in the year, but we don't know if that's true either because of the crisis that's going on with the chips for the AI. So just stop right now. I know what you guys are doing, right? Right now you're making memes, you're posting them on, you're making laughs, you're making cats like surf and stuff like that. I mean, it's fantastic. Keep it coming. But at the same time, you got to stop because the prices of AI is going through the roof and no one can afford anything. So remember, make the problem, though, sell the solution. The problem is the things are getting too high. The solution is, well, let's sell you a different box at a cheaper than a computer, but more expensive than a console. That is the solution. If you guys like what I do here, these are just my thoughts. If you guys like what I do here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Those of you that are new to my channel, when I do cutoffs like that is because if I want to make this a breakout, it's a separate video. But if you're watching live, obviously, you're watching it live. So let's see. Jesse Mack says, I called BS because there is no verification to get better results and better performance. Why not use AI? They would just solve everything. But that's not viable enough. I would assume, Jesse, that there's some sort of, just like any other business, there's got to be some sort of safety net, right? Quality control that they have to go through before they go to the next stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to have it, but they have to have it because they're told to have it type of thing. What's going on, Mo? Waterbear says, as long as the Steam machine isn't more than $850, I'll grab it after hearing the verification news. I think I'm still going to go with the, what did we say originally? Originally, obviously, everyone was talking about like 400 and stuff like that. I think there's two versions, right? I think there's two versions. I think we get the lower tier one, maybe 700, 800, 799 maybe, right? And then there's that 1,000 one, 999. I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be like 700,000, 800,000, something like that. I think that's where it comes in at. Which, if you're on the market for a PC and you're only getting the PC for gaming, and the regular 3060 or whatever on the market is $1,200, $1,400, you look at that and go, well, I can save myself $400. I can save myself $200. Now, if you're a person that already has a PC, you're like, I'm just going to spend $500, upgrade my graphics card. You know what I mean? Or upgrade whatever you need. What's going on, Travis? Eclipse says, the Steam machine will be used as Linux. Linux is very good with AMD, and this is why I don't want to switch to Linux, because I have an NVIDIA GPU. Barber says, real gamers will get the best version. You know that, 30. Sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But remember, they're not just going for the go-getter gamer, because they know they can get the money from those people, Water. They got to make it where the average person can also get into the ecosystem. They're not just going for the pure gamer. They're trying to open up the market. Morning, Wonder Rose. What's going on, Jason? Altern says, the advertised at first that the Steam machine to output 4K 60 frames. The verification process is 1080p 30 frames. What the fuck? Advertising one way, run another. Sounds like this gen's console. No, I think the way that's the way it's being delivered. You got to remember, Altern, because the Steam Deck exists, that is the lowest common denominator. They got to make sure that the Steam machine runs everything that the Steam Deck runs. The exact same thing with the parity thing. I don't think they have a parity clause, by the way. Right? But they have to make sure that everything runs on the Steam Deck. Otherwise, you're destroying your own market. Let's see here. In the advertisement, Eclipse says, it said upscale FSR. Roic says the real Steam fan will find a way to get the best one. Yeah, they'll get a job at an ice cream parlor. That's right. Maybe in what was it? Was it Pebble Beach? Was it Pebble Beach that Randy Pitchford said? Real fans, they will find a way. How is Borderlands 4 going? You know, we haven't checked that one on Steam. I know they have other ways of measuring charts and stuff. But how is Borderlands? Well, let's go back up a little bit. Borderlands DB here. Nobody cares. Yeah. I mean, we care. We care. Okay. Borderlands 4. Whew. Man, that is a steep drop, 6 months. That is steep. There's the Humble Bundle that happened just a couple of months afterwards. Man, that is a... Did you guys see that? If this was the stock market, we would have problems. Now, I know people are like, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a single player game. There's still... Nobody's talking about it. Okay? Randy Pitchford told you that, right? Check Borderlands 2. All right, let me check Borderlands 2. What's going on, Wizard? Let me check Borderlands. Is it a specific edition or just Borderlands 2? Borderlands 2 is at $15.92 right now, 2,655 in the last 24 hours. Borderlands 4 is not that much higher. Dear Lord. Randy Pitchford told you guys it's not going to have a steep discount for a while. Oh, come on. That's not even fair now. That's not even fair. Resident Evil Requiem. Yeah. It's a brand new game. We'll see. To be fair, Jason, it's a single player game, right? It's a single player game. We'll come back 6 months, and we'll check the overall trajectory. Obviously, this is going to go down, but will the 6 month mark be higher than Borderlands 6 month mark? My answer would be yes. Yes, there'll be more people playing Resident Evil Requiem than there'll be Borderlands 4. And remember, Borderlands 4 is a constant upgrading game where they keep adding more content. Aku says Starfield still has articles being written about it. It's very true. Very, very true. I love when people say certain things and you're just like, okay, see how this plays out for them. All right, the next thing I want to talk about. Is Microsoft brings, this is from Windows Central, this is from Zach Bowden from Windows Central. Microsoft brings a new Xbox mode to Windows 11 PCs next month, prepares major gaming advancement that lays the foundation for the next Xbox. Okay. So at the GDC 2026, Microsoft outlined the future of PC and Xbox gaming development, positioning Windows as the foundation for the next generation of gaming. I'll be honest with you, I'm very scared about this. I'm very scared. Regardless if you like Xbox or you love, if you like it, you hate it, whatever, it's still being run by Windows. And we all hate Windows. We can all agree we hate Windows, right? Everybody? I don't care if you love Xbox, except Mo. Mo's going to come in here and say, I love Windows. Windows is the best, right? That's what Mo's going to do. Everyone, every single one of us, every single gamer on planet Earth can look at each other and go, you know what? It's true. We all hate Windows. Okay. Microsoft has announced the planning it's making a new Xbox full screen experience generally available to all Windows 11. Yeah, Windows 11 is trash. Device in April and rebranding the feature as Xbox mode. You ever wonder where they come up with these names? Like, think about this. They pay people millions and millions of dollars a year, and the best thing they can come up with is Xbox mode. It's like the Wonder Twins activated. They're like, with all the power combined, Xbox, Microsoft, Xbox mode. It prepares the platform for the next generation of Xbox console project, codename Helix. The news was announced during Microsoft's GDC keynote, where the company has also unveiled a number of announcements for game developers building for Windows. It's clear that Microsoft views the future of Xbox game development for the future of Windows PC game development as sharing the same path. Now, Microsoft is pushing the Unified Game Development Kit, known as the GDK, that allows developers to build the PC and, by extension, have their game be ready for the next-gen Xbox. Additionally, the GDX also makes it easier for developers to compile their games in current Gen 9 series of Xbox consoles, maintaining the capability or compatibility with the Xbox Series S and X hardware. The lowest common denominator. It all comes back to the S. It all comes back to the S. The other big announcement revolves around DirectX, the integration of machine learning technology, which introduces new capabilities that will make it easier for developers to bring neural technology into the graphics pipeline, starting with the linear algebra support of the HLSL to unlock hardware accelerator ML operations directly in the shaders. I know a lot of people are like, what is all this tech talk? I don't know. I'm just reading. Okay. Microsoft is also bringing console-like graphics, debugging capabilities in Windows PC game developers with the ability to dump DirectX files, debug break, or the HLSL and the Shader Explorer. Now, we're also delivering additional PIX improvement, including the tile mappings, viewer hardware, specific GPU counters in the system monitor view, and make debugging a profile DirectX applications easier. The advanced shader delivery, or the ASD, was featured as the first debut of the Xbox Ally X's limited number of games, but Microsoft is now making it general available to all developers to implement into their own games on Windows. It says, quote, with the new API level support now available in DirectX Agility SDK, developers can collect the package shaders as part of the process, says Microsoft. The Xbox Partner Center will be able to ingest these shaders, enabling support devices automatically detect the deliver of ASD experience to gamers. The company says that this update represents the foundational shift in how PC games handle shaders and scales, bring more predictable performance, faster startup times for players, and reduce the stutter on the first run of the game. Now, Microsoft is also making improvements to the direct storage, another method of speeding up game load times. Today, they're introducing a support for the Z standard compression, which is the new tool that Game Assist conditioning library, improving compression efficiency and simplifying asset conditioning across the production pipeline. So basically, quick resume. Right? Quick resume, making games load faster, and whatnot. The next-gen Xbox will benefit from all of these advancements, as Microsoft has already confirmed that the next console will be able to play, it's not a console, it's a PC games that will also have Xbox console games. This means it's going to run Windows, likely with the new Xbox mode enabled by default. Now, my concern here is that it runs Windows. Windows, it sounds great, right? And again, I'm a gamer. I've owned every single Xbox. I've owned every single PlayStation up until the PlayStation 5. Okay? And the only reason I don't own a PlayStation 5 is because there's no reason to own a PlayStation 5 this generation. Okay? Maybe next time I get a PlayStation 6. Who knows? Time will tell. Okay? But Microsoft, the reason, do you know why people bought an Xbox originally? Because they hated Windows. They hated gaming through Windows. So like, oh, this makes it so much easier. But now they're taking the thing and they're putting it right as the thing that people hate on the new platform, which is a PC, which is their console. And that is the biggest problem. Now, as long as they fixed all the problems with Windows 11 and make it less Windows and more gaming, do you know what I mean? Like, as long as they fix the thing that everybody hates, which is Windows, then I don't think we have a problem. But we have a problem because Windows is going to be on the thing. So, of course, all the improvements also trickle down devices like Xbox ROG Ally and extend the upward full-blown gaming rigs. And they also run third-party storefronts like Steam and Epic Games Store. Microsoft is positioning Windows as the bedrock for the next generation of gaming, Xbox gaming, and can't wait to see how things play out. Now, positioning Windows as the place to game and build games. And this is the biggest problem with Windows going forward. Windows strategy, with the next Xbox is to strengthen both the Microsoft console efforts and the Windows as a PC platform for gamers. With the platform merged, developers will also have an easier time building both PC and Xbox consoles with the curated experience of Xbox users who prefer the console experience over the Windows PC. This ensures the Xbox platform remains alive as developers won't have to do much to support the going forward. Now, if the developers are building a Windows PC game, they're also going to be building a game that will run on the next-gen Xbox, which is also an incredible advantage for both gamers and developers. Now, with the next-gen Xbox also supporting Xbox console games and backwards compatibility, it'll be the only box in the market that can play both console games and PC games. Is that true, though? Because the Steam machine, I see what they're saying. Because, yes, you'll be able to play Xbox games on the thing, but you won't be able to play backwards compatibility games on the Steam machine because there is no disk drive, correct? Because you're only getting the digital games, where the next Xbox, we don't even know if that's going to have a disk drive, but I would assume they will sell you a disk drive. And you can play all your old games and also the new games as well. This will make it only device on the market to play both GTA 6 and PC games, assuming that the next Xbox launches before GTA 6 lands on PC. Right. Okay. It says, what do you think about the Xbox mode? It says, Microsoft used the GTC 2026 to make the bold statement about the future of Windows gaming, rebranding the FSE to Xbox mode, rolling out to every Windows 11 PC signal to real shift in how the company wants developers, players to think about the platform. So there you go. What do you guys think? My biggest concern is Windows. I'll be honest with you. Right? Every problem that I have on my PC has to do with a Windows update. Every single time. Anybody that's a YouTuber or a streamer or a Twitch streamer, every time Windows has an update, you're losing your camera, you're losing your audio, some program doesn't work anymore. All this stuff is always a problem with Windows. Now, I want to believe that they're putting Windows on this new device and it's going to run flawlessly. On paper, this sounds fantastic, convenient. It seems like there's not going to be a hitch. But then reality kicks in. And if I have problems with Windows on the PC that I already have, what makes me think that I'm not going to have problems with Windows on the device that's supposed to be just for gaming? Explain to me, chat. How can, if the dog is still biting me and you're the owner of the dog and you're like, he's really peaceful. And the dog's like, you're like, no, but he's coming at my face, right? He's coming at my face. You're like, nah, he doesn't mean anything. It's fine. There's not a problem, right? There's a problem. The big elephant in the room is Windows. Windows is the problem, always has been the problem for Microsoft. And again, they make the minimal viable product of operating systems. Why? Because they're the market leader in the operating systems. The only better operating system, major operating system, is the iOS on Mac. But you only get the iOS. Now, obviously, I know you can dual boot and stuff like that. But most people that use the operating system, I understand there's Linux as well. Okay. But most people use the iOS on the Apple products. Majority of the world is using Windows. And Windows, Microsoft says, it's fine. It's fine. It's only been out for 40 years. They'll get to it. They'll fix it. I'm sure Windows will run fine on the back end of this new device. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe if you like what I do here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think in the live chat. What are your concerns? Okay. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with games and games made for gamers. But what are your concerns for the next future, the next console of Xbox with Windows 11 being run on it? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Eclipse says, I will say this, more enticing to me than the Steam machine. I already have a beast PC. The only reason why I want a Steam machine is in the living room. Okay, let me ask you this. Eclipse. If this comes out, right? If this comes out and it does exactly what they say, where it runs all the things, right? Backwards compatibility for all your Xbox games that you have, physical or digital, will come over to Xbox, the next Xbox, okay? Then it also plays Steam games, right? So you can connect the Xbox to your TV just like the Steam, right? It does all these other things that the Steam machine can't do, and they're both around the same price. Let's say it's $200 more than the Steam machine. Which one are you getting? Are you getting the Xbox that can do all these other things, or are you getting the Steam machine because you already have a big rig, right? Xbox is $200 more. We don't know the prices for either of these things. Let's say it's $1,200 and $1,000. Steam machine's $1,000. Xbox is $1,200 or $800, $1,000, whatever. Sarge says, after 25 patches and 6 updates, no problem. Yeah, it'll be fine. Just Enough says, we agree Windows is the issue, but how has Xbox software experience been? Yeah, that's the problem. Well, the Xbox experience has been better than the Windows experience, even though sometimes the Windows or the Xbox experience is not the greatest. Jesse Mack says the biggest problem right now for Asha is if they failed Windows installation inside the new Xbox, it will have a big influence over the player base. I think it would have. Travis says, if you think it will run well, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona. Oh, great. How much is it? How much is that? Mo says, I love it, and I will be getting it. Mo, at this point, I could tell you that Xbox made a tin can, and you'd be like, I'm in. You don't even hear anything else. You just, I love it. I'm in. Dolphin says, I can confirm the next Xbox mode runs way better now with the Xbox app on my ROG Ally. I have noticed the streaming and stuff much better cloud, and I'm going on a trip tomorrow. So this weekend when I play, we'll test it out. We'll test the cloud out and stuff like that, and the new mode and stuff like that, and see if it runs like way better. Sarge says, because of the OX experience. Just Enough says, if the Xbox mode on the new Windows is just a stripped down Windows, it will be fine. If the issue will be using for the games not on the Xbox store. JD Kent says, wouldn't that depend on how big your Xbox library is? Well, I was asking Eclipse personally which one he would buy. So Eclipse is the Xbox because of the backwards compatibility. I have so many 360 games. Don't play anymore because I don't have 360 hookup. To go back to what you're saying, Kent, if you're a brand new gamer, you're looking to get into gaming. You're like, all right, I'm an older gamer. I don't know where to start. You can't afford a PC. Let's just say the PC is $1,200, but you're like, I can't afford that. Let's say the Xbox is $1,000, and let's say the Steam machine is $800, and you're looking at it going, well, the Steam is the PC, but it's just less expensive, and it's just for games, right? Just for games. So you're like, all right, maybe I get the Steam machine, but then you get the Xbox, and you see the Xbox, and you're like, it's $200 more. I don't have a library. This one also plays Steam and Epic and all this other stuff. I have to admit that you kind of might want to go towards an Xbox if you're brand new. Now, if you're a person that already has, 40 games on Steam and you got 30 games on Xbox, I think you would also lean more towards the Xbox machine because the Xbox machine plays your back catalog and your Steam library, where Steam only plays your back library. So I think Xbox wins there as well. If you have no loyalty because of your library, I don't know. I think it's a clean slate. You're like, it go either way. It comes down to price at that point. Eclipse says, I own Marvel Ultimate Alliance, both of them. And we could be cool to play those games again. Sarge says because the Xbox experience had to work, it couldn't do Windows bullshit. Explain to me how Windows version in Xbox works on a PC. It's trash fire. Trash. It's trash. Waterbear says, damn that, Brain. We need a new Ultimate Alliance now. All right. I know what Water's going to pick. Ready? Water will pick any device as long as Ultimate Alliance is on it. So if Xbox says we have Ultimate Alliance 4, he's buying the new Xbox. If the Steam machine says you can play the Ultimate Alliance, next Ultimate Alliance, he's buying a Steam machine. Let's see. Ron says Steam does not have Fortnite. Well, you know what it also doesn't have, Ron? Hygard. It doesn't have Hygard. Hygard is no longer with us. Today is the last day. Did you get your last game in? Ron did. Not Ron. Robert. Robert got his last games in yesterday. No more Hygard. So, yeah. Water's like, bingo. That's right. Wherever Ultimate Alliance 4 is, that is where Waterbear will be. That's right. It's the last day of Hygard. All of a sudden, my viewership goes down to 0. Like, everyone's just going to go play Hygard. Hygard. What's Hygard? It's what Quinger calls Hygard. Come on now, Mo. All right. Let's go to this backwards compatibility, since we're talking about backwards compatibility. Xbox says backwards compatibility program will be revived for the 25th anniversary. Okay, a lot of people are excited about this. Okay, this is how they fix everything, right? Phil Spencer talked about this for years, but he's no longer with us. Not because he's dead, because he retired. He got fired. Okay. But the backwards compatibility for Xbox is a huge thing. Okay. And now they're using this to go, Asha's bringing it back. Here we go. As part of a keynote this year GDC event, Xbox VP of Next Generation, Jason Ronald, was teased that Microsoft's backwards compatibility program is being revived in some fashion this year. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. Some of you do. But I talked about the backwards compatibility when they were buying Activision. And everyone's like, oh, they're going to release all these games. I said, no, slow down. You don't want to blow your load all at one time. You've got to slowly drip feed. You know, that the slow drip coffee that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Okay? And you got to charge more for it. You got to give more value. You can't just throw out everything and be like, here it is. There's all the games that Activision's ever created on the backwards compatibility. They're like, no. They're like, slow down. Okay. You got to tease it. You got to put the Ultimate Alliance is not available yet on the store. Okay. It says, now I'll be up front here and say that we don't know for sure if this means more unreleased games will be added to this program. But in short, Ronald says that the company games preservation team will release some iconic games from the past that are now going to be able to play in the entirely new ways. What do you mean entirely new ways? It just means be able to be played again on the new system. That's all it means. Right. One Kroger cup at a time. Okay. Tom Warner says, as part of the 25th anniversary, later this year, the game preservation team will release some iconic games from the past that are now going to be able to be played in entirely new ways, said Jason Ronald. And I know everyone's like looking at this. Everyone's looking at this and going, I don't see a game I like. Where's Ultimate Alliance 4? Where's Transformers? I don't see it on here. Okay. It says, again, this is quite vague, and it could mean anything from a brand new compatible additions to newly enhanced versions of the games, and that are already on the program. But either way, backwards compatibility is being brought back in some fashion as part of the team's 25th anniversary celebration here in 2026. Another thing is that it would also be hint at that a little bit of speculation from us right now. It's related to Xbox backwards compatibility running on PC, ROG Ally Xbox, or the ROG Xbox Ally. Sorry. I don't know why they put it that way. At that very same conference, the team announced that the Xbox mode for Windows 11, and it sounds very much like Windows console and PC ecosystems, are now being to be crossed over in a big way in 2026 and beyond. Okay, so let me read the quote here. It says, starting in April, Xbox mode will begin rolling out to Windows in select markets. It brings a familiar Xbox experience to players while keeping flexibility and the openness of Windows. We're also committed to keeping games for our 4 generations of Xbox playable for years to come. As part of the 25th anniversary later this year, we'll be rolling out new ways to play some of the most iconic games from our past. Now, obviously, they're doing this in perpetuity. Not perpetuity, that's the wrong word. In advertisement, I should say, to give you a soft kind of feel of what's going to happen. Be like, oh, cool. So a lot of people, what they've lost is a lot of people are upset at Xbox and they sold their Xboxes because they're like, oh, I had all these games, but now they're abandoning the console and blah, 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 right? Even though they never said they were going to abandon the console, mind you. Well, they didn't. Everyone else did. So I always said they're going to have a console regardless. But regardless. Now so the new system comes out next year, right? 2027. And they put this in the summertime, probably. I would say the summertime, probably June showcase. They will say something, and then it slowly comes out in like June or August or whatever. Okay. You're going to be able to play all your old games. So if you're a person that sold your Xbox and now you come back and log back into your, Game Pass account, or not even Game Pass account, your Xbox Live account, then you'll be able to get access to maybe all the Ultimate Alliances, the Transformers games, all the Call of Duty games, all the Activision games, even from we're talking Xbox original, Xbox 360. Again, I don't know if this is what they're doing, but this is what builds it up. And you're like, oh, cool. And then when they announce the new system, you're like, oh, well, now I don't have a system, but I can maybe buy the new system and get access to all the other things I have. So this is an incentive, right? Maybe to come back in, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here with the backwards compatibility. Now, my question for you, chat, is this enough for you? Are you a person that got rid of your Xbox or was about to abandon your Xbox? Is this enough to hold you back to come back and play your old games? See, I'm not a big person of playing old games. I played it. I loved it. I put 500 hours into a game. I'm probably not going to go back, right? I had 1,700 hours into Destiny 1. We went back a couple months ago. We played Destiny 1 again. It was fun for that night. But I'm not going to put another 400 hours into that game. Been there, done that. I love Pitfall back in the day. I'm not going to go back and play Pitfall. I love Mario. I'm not going to go back and play Mario for another 10 hours. I'm just not. Okay? Is there a couple games that I would love to go back and go, oh, what a memory. Cool. I guess if it's there, right? Like right now, I have Game Pass. There's a lot of games that I could play on there. I just don't. And do you know why? I don't have the time. So if you're giving me a backwards compatibility, and again, I'm only speaking for myself, right? I don't know how you guys are, but if I don't have that much time to play video games now, right? Bases loaded, love fucking bases loaded, Ron. All right. If I don't have the time to play new games, how am I going to have time to play old games? I'm just not. Travis says Sonic Spinball. That's what 30 wants to go back to. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm really going back to, Travis. Yeah. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Ken Griffey Jr., I just found actually, I saw someone was selling Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on the Super NES. I was like, oh. But I was like, I already own it. But it brought back the memory. I love that game. Great game. Just Enough says, I can go back and play certain ones, but I still have unplayed 360 titles. That's what I'm saying. Like, how big of an incentive is the backwards compatibility? And I'm asking you guys in chat, is this a big selling point? Even as a PlayStation guy, do you have so much time that you're like, oh man, I play all the new games and I always go back to play my old games? If you're a person that's playing old games, you're probably just playing the old games. You're not playing the new games as well, right? So if you're a collector of the old PlayStation 2 games or PlayStation 3 games, you're not really playing the new games and going back to the old games. You're a collector. You're like, oh, I collected this game, and then when you find that game to collect, you play that game. So is this something that you guys are looking at and going, yeah, this is a selling point. This is the selling point for me because I can play my old games. Jesse Mack says they're telling you that Xbox backwards compatibility, all of our old games we love, then telling you that it just will sold you in most of them to play old games, but all of them. I mean, if you're a person that can play, all right. Well, what you just said there, Jesse, makes you kind of think. What about if you're a person that, when you were younger, you didn't get to play a lot of old games, and obviously it's hard to find those games now. But now they're on the platform, and you're like, I've never played that. I mean, I guess that's a selling point as well. Maybe not as nostalgic of like you owned it, you want to go back and play it, but you've never played those old games before because you didn't have the time back then. Maybe that's an incentive. I play old games all the time. I do randomize working of time every year. I played more old games than new games. Right, but that's what I'm saying, Clips. You're choosing to use your time to play older games. I know you play new games as well, but you specifically go back and go play old games. Not everybody does that. So is this a big thing where this is why they would buy the new system so they can play the old games? Even though if they want to play the old games, they probably already have the old systems. Like if I want to go play my old PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, my Xbox, right? I can just plug them in. Now, I know everyone doesn't have their systems like I do. Sarge says backwards compatibility should be a standard, not a bonus. It's just another way to push you into a newer system. JD Kent says Rainbow Six Vegas 2. I would like to play that again. But would you buy a system just to play that? I guess that's my question. What's up, Chief? Backwards compatibility is a repeat of the previous console. New consoles, old games, still no new Xbox exclusives. It's very true. Well, technically, you would have exclusives. You would have the exclusives that were on the old systems that they were exclusive back then. Roic says, sometimes I get into the mood to play some old games, since some of them are just better than the newer games. I get that, Roic. I get that. But listen to what I said earlier. If I've already played this game, right, I put 200 hours into the old game, I don't want to go back and play that game again for another 100 hours. That's just me, though. I would rather play an old game that maybe I never tried. But again, is it backwards compatible of games I own? Like if I still have the disc, I could put it in the disc drive on my new system and play it? Or do I have to like pay it? Is this a backwards compatibility thing where it's not even backwards compatibility? It's just Game Pass now has all backwards compatibility for every single game they've ever owned, right? Xbox has ever created. And it's part of that thing, right? Obviously, if you own the disc, you pop it in, you can play it. But if you don't own it and you want to play a backwards compatibility game, it's just on the service. It's part of the $30 service. Now, I'm not saying that's what they're doing. That's what they could be doing. Travis says, did 30 see the rumor new Transformers game and it's canceled? Is that true? Was there another Transformers game? I know there's a new 2D animated show that's coming out. It would be nice if I could just toss the old box and keep my stuff. I mean, technically that's what you could do right now with the Xbox. Right now for Xbox, if I have an old disc, I got to put it in and play it. Rumor is Saber is doing one. Don't you fucking lie to me. Don't you get me all excited about Saber doing a Transformers game, all right, Travis? I saw the article where Saber said they have a big IP, but no one said anything about Transformers. There's a lot of big IPs out there they could do. They said they got so many IPs, and they have one big IP that they have, very popular IP. All right, the next story I want to talk about. I gotta go to ACG. I forgot to type in his. We're gonna watch his. I watched it.
So here's the thing about
yesterday, but we're gonna watch it because I know it's out today. It comes out today, and I want to make sure that people that are on the fence, right? They're on the fence. They don't know if they could get or they should get Toxic Commando. We're gonna watch ACG. I like ACG. Because he just tells it how it is. He's not trying to sell you or not sell you on the game. He's just telling you what the game is. And then you make the choice if you want to pick it up or not. So if you guys like it, his link is in the description down below. Give it a like, give it a sub. We are going to pause and stuff in between. So if you want to just go watch the review yourself, you can go do that. Let's see. Is that Nicoleman? Nope. Says, do you think there's possibility a Marvel game can show at the Future Game Show later today? I don't know if they show a new Marvel game. There's a lot of Marvel games right now in production that we know about. To say like a brand new game that we don't know anything about, probably not. Probably not. But obviously, I mean, they'll probably show like Token or I don't want to say Wolverine. I mean, obviously, it's the Future Game Show. I don't know. I'm going to say no. Nothing new. But we'll see. Because there's a lot of games already out for Marvel, right? You don't want to overflood the market with Marvel games, especially when they're doing well. Marvel Rivals is doing very well right now. They got the whole event thing coming up. Maybe Future Game Show shows something of Marvel Rivals, one of their updates that are coming out, the new Avengers thing. Maybe they can do something like that. Roic says, speaking of, has anyone tried the new class in Space Marines 2? Yeah, we've been playing it the last 2 weeks on stream, Roic. If you go to 30 and Still Gaming, literally there's 8 hours of me playing the Tech Marine. We're up at level 17. Love it. It's great. Yep. Let's see. And again, that's just my opinion about Marvel. I always feel like I always take a look at stuff from a business perspective, not from a fan perspective. Now, as a fan, I would love more Marvel. I would love more Marvel games. Okay, but we know about the Iron Man, Blade. Blade hasn't been talked about. Everyone thinks Blade's canceled. It could be, or it's just super far off, right? So we had Iron Man. We have Blade. There's maybe we see something about the Captain America and Black Panther, 1943, or maybe we see something about that. But there's just a lot of Marvel games in the pipeline that we know nothing more information about. Marvel Rivals to me is the most relevant one right now. Wolverine's coming later this year. Marvel Rivals is constantly staying with all the Marvel stuff that's coming out, with all the Avengers stuff leading up to Doomsday. Argus says, I'm debating on it if I should take off work Tuesday for Crimson Desert. Is it Tuesday? I thought it was Thursday. Doesn't it come out the 19th? Or if you pre-order, it comes out the 17th. Jump back in and play it. Yeah, it's a good class. It's a good class. Rise of Hydra looks like ass. Just another movie game. Shit, I think Iron Man's canceled. I don't think Is Iron Man canceled? I don't think they did, right? Motive is working on that, and I think they're still working on it. I've seen some real gameplay from 2021 of the Rise of Hydra. The real deal, but it's also going to be short. Oh, yeah, we knew that. We said it was like a tech demo when we first saw it. I thought 1943 was canceled. No. It was another Black Panther game that was canceled, not the 1943. All right, let's watch this review from ACG.
Saber Interactive. These guys have been cranking out co-op shooters like they're trying to solve world hunger by feeding everybody bullets, buddy systems, and advanced swarming mechanics. World War Z had its thousands of zombies swarming like the missed last train, and Space Marine had its Tyranids. And now we've got John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, which somehow is a mix of all that shooting and Saber's other games like SnowRunner. Run out and try to take on a bunch of guys who aren't zombies but are sort of zombies. Comes out here soon, and I'm going to give you a review of.
Salty says, if they cancel my Iron Man game, I'm going to riot. Why is this so tiny? I got to make that a little bit bigger.
As always, I buy a copy of a game even if the developer gives me a code. So my cash is on the line, just like yours.
I like ACG, what he just said there. He does this with all his reviews, right? He either buys the game and reviews it because that's what he does, or he buys the game even if they give him a code because he doesn't want, and he'll give that game away, even though if he gets a code by the developer, he's not paid and bought for. He's like, I'm still spending my money on the actual game, and then I'll give that out if they give me a code, right? I respect that.
Jump into it. So what is actually going on in this game? The setup is pretty much Carpenter-esque. In the near future, some scientists decide, hey, let's drill into the Earth's core and just, tap that shit, because humanity never learns. We accidentally unleash an eldritch abomination called the Sludge God, a thing that starts turning soil into toxic muck and people into...
Now, I played this. We played the demo. I played it quite a bit. I enjoyed my time with this game, and I do believe it's worth $40. It's definitely not worth $70, and it's not priced at $70. So if you're looking to get the game and you have $40 burning a hole in your pocket, by all means, purchase it. But at the same time, I still think the game is got a little bit of a flush out.
Zombie-esque monstrosities. Pretty much a classic Sunday. Then the scientists, the ones who did all this crap, realize, whoa, we screwed up. So what we're going to do is go out there and hire some mercenaries to clean up everything. But all the competent ones are too expensive. So they end up with you, the Toxic Commandos, the D team of the apocalypse. Your squad of mercenary commandos gets hired to clean up the mess, but naturally that contract goes to hell. You get infected too, slowly being consumed by the same toxic waste from the inside out. Here's where it does actually change things up, though. One of the scientists who helped cause this whole mess in the first place outfits you with equipment.
NTG Jaguar says, I got out of new games. I'm back to World of Warcraft. I mean, technically, are you playing the older version of World of Warcraft? Are you playing the new World of Warcraft DLC? Because you're still in a new game, even though it's Foundation's old. Just asking.
That keeps the infection from killing you outright. Instead, you're just going to die slower. But as you do, you're going to get powers from the infection. As you continue to travel, your new suit...
Vanilla Classic? Okay. All right. Well, carry on then. Carry on.
End up gathering information about how the toxicity affects you, turning poison into power, which is honestly pretty badass if you ignore the part where you're slowly dying from some elder toxic sentient love fluids. As always, subscribe if you like these videos. When it comes to the core gameplay loop, Toxic Commando is doing a couple genuinely interesting things. For example, the mission structure. When you start out, there's a couple different starting points in some of the maps. So when you start on one side of the map, it might change your trajectory, your tactics, and just the strategies you employ in that particular map. Also, because the game does have vehicles in it, you may have a vehicle closer or farther away from you, which can change how you want to go about exploring or taking on the main mission structure. The randomness there helps keep things a bit more fresh and a little less soul-crushingly repetitive, especially as you've gone through the same map 5 or 6 times. You might approach it from a completely different direction and really decide, hey, this is the time that we should actually go explore. To take on those different challenges and do those things, you team up with 3 players or as little as 1.
The NPCs are a little dumb in this game. If you're playing by yourself, I would rather play with a bunch of randos, which sometimes could be just as bad as the AI. I'll be honest with you. Some people that play video games have 2 left feet. and 2 right thumbs. Okay, so sometimes playing with randos sometimes you get people like Fabio, when they come into the game, where they just don't know how to play the game. Right? Those of you, that's a shout out to when we played Roadcraft.
With the game's AI taking their place. Each one of the players picks a class, and you've got your 4 classes to choose from, each representing the sort of holy trinity of co-op gaming plus 1 for variety. And here it is, the same setup we've seen 100 times, like watching a band play covers of songs you know by heart, but Saber at least has a decency to dress it up a bit in some cool fiction. Each class gets infected powers alongside their standard loadouts, so while you might have basic abilities like more ammo capacity, which, let's be honest, is the most boring reward ever, you also get to throw some electrical bolts and other flashy abilities that make you feel...
I do really like the vehicles in the game. And you guys know I love SnowRunners. And they made SnowRunners as well. Really nice touch. And there's another thing. I like that they've taken bits and pieces of their games and made it better. So, like, this is a co-op shooter game, but they've added another element to it. So they've changed the game a little bit. Make it fresh, which is nice.
A little bit more like a radioactive superhero, like the actual title suggests. Once you pick that, you go into your weapons and all the customization you've got there. Now, this is the sort of bog standard assortment of weapons split between assault rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns, SMGs, handguns, and up close. You've got rail attachments, barrel modifications, underbarrel attachments, stocks.
Douglas says, I want this game. I mean, this is why we're watching the review, right? We on this channel, and I know you're newer in this channel, we always say, no pre-orders, no day one, no full price for a half-ass game, okay? We also like to look and give people enough information because maybe they don't know where to look or what reviews to look for or what type of people talk about stuff. So I show stuff. We talk about things. We're just trying to educate people enough so you guys can make the right choices for what game you think is right for you, right? So we try to watch multiple reviews. We're not going to do that today because of time. I have a hard out at 12. But just to give enough information so you can use your money correctly.
Puzzles, magazines, grips, and more. Then on top of all that functional customization, you have some cosmetics that you can apply as well. And one of the things to be aware of here is you're not just leveling up your guns. You've got the level up for your profile itself for everything, as well as the characters, and then also the gun. And then
Gunplay feels good. Gunplay feels good. Audio feels good. Characters are okay. I'm not a big player on the special powers and stuff, but it is what it is.
Have your easy, medium, hard, and very hard difficulties, which I'll talk about in a bit, which give you higher and higher rewards. One thing I did like is when we had a team wipe one time, we went back and you still get points during a defeat for your experience and stuff like that.
That's good because it doesn't waste your time. So, like, if you fail, you don't get any points. In this, you do get points.
Just not as much. So that was pretty nice. One thing that sucks, though, I'm sorry, the character customization is pretty bad in this. Basically, some color swaps.
That's exactly what I said. I said customization in this game is absolutely horrendous.
1 or 2 uniform swaps total. They just don't really look that good. I get it. You're playing mostly in first person. I understand that. But you've got the actual option in there. It'd be great.
But here's the thing, right? In games that are microtransactions, and I'm not saying this has microtransactions, but when there are microtransactions in a first-person shooter game, they'll sell you $20. And they're like, oh, they're really cool looking. But you never get to see your character. In this, you don't get to see your character, and they give you half-ass type of cosmetics, and they're garbage. But it's like, if you're gonna put the thing into a microtransaction game where they're cool looking, but you have to pay $20 to look cool, and then you don't have to pay for microtransactions, and they're like, we'll just make it shitty. It's like, come on. If you're going to make them cool looking, give us some other kind of, cool looking outfits to earn in the actual game.
Great. Toxic Commando feels pretty bog standard at that. And disappointingly, honestly, a little bit worse than many other titles. I would have liked to have seen a good deal more on the customization, but it is just one of those games where it's not going to matter too much. Your guns are really what you're seeing for the most part of the game, and that's where a great deal of these customizations are going to sit. Regardless of what you look like, you always have to do those missions to get those ducats back home, and the missions themselves, they're a mix of different objective types. Not a ton, but some stuff to switch things up. You have puzzle-based, requiring you to figure out how to activate mysterious machines or complete specific sequences while being constantly harassed by these giant hordes. Others are more straightforward conquest kind of things. Go to this place, turn on some weird device, wait for it to do whatever sci-fi nonsense it does, and kill everything that tries to stop you. which means especially in human-led groups, you can split up a little.
State of Decay 2 was a fantastic zombie game. Looking forward to State of Decay 3, but I have bad feelings about State of Decay 3. State of Decay 1 came out very buggy, very glitchy. State of Decay 2, very buggy, very glitchy. State of Decay 3 is going to be very buggy and glitchy when it comes out, and it's been delayed twice.
Little bit, drive around, try to find an area, have somebody else explore a particular spot, but just be aware that it's pretty easy to die in this on the harder difficulties, so you got to make sure you're always up on what's going on around you, especially because the world itself is a bit of an enemy here, because you now have vehicles in the game, and as I mentioned at the starting about SnowRunner, it's really combining their original titles into this game, and it becomes something more than just transportation. What's really clever here is how the vehicle integration affects the overall gameplay loop as well. The larger world spaces mean you're not just going through arena to arena shooting things. You're actually exploring the environments, noting where your vehicle's parked, pushing a little farther on foot when you feel safe, and then hightailing it back to safety of your mobile base when things get too dangerous or you need to move on or relocate. The locations are honestly pretty interesting to investigate. Plenty of nooks and crannies that might hold some valuable resource or a hidden gun. The enemy count is not as overwhelmingly massive as World War Z's legendary swarms, but honestly, that might be for the better in a game like this.
You would actually like Surrounded, Water. Surrounded, if you have a PC, obviously you do. Anybody else that's looking for it's a one guy making this game. It's a voxel based game. But let me tell you, it's probably one of the better zombie survival games like out there. If you put, you don't need the graphics, but if you like State of Decay, if anyone's ever liked State of Decay 1 or 2, go check out Surrounded on PC. Fantastic little game.
Means the combat can get hectic pretty quick.
And I say little, but it's not little. It's a big game.
Even with hundreds of enemies on screen. That being said, though, expect to see a lot of the archetypes we've seen in other games in the World War Z style. They're just translated here. When it comes to that movement of the vehicle, though, and the exploration that's there, it does feel distinctly different than World War Z did. One thing you also notice pretty quickly while you're doing that is that Toxic Commando is slightly slower than you might expect for a game in this genre. It's not sluggish, but there's a deliberate weight to your character's movements that makes the game feel a bit more tactical than their previous titles. I think it's pretty conscious as a choice that serves multiple purposes. First, it does make the game feel a bit more tactical, as I said. Secondly, it works well with the vehicle integration. You're not just these superpowered beings who can sprint anywhere faster than the cars can drive. Third, the enemy types in the game are different from what
he just said there, let me clarify, right? Obviously, the reason the cars are on the map, they made the maps big. They didn't put mounts on like Higer did, where they're like, oh, let's make a big map and let's put mounts in there and then do microtransactions, right? They made a map and they're like, hey, let's make the maps, instead of making it linear, let's make open world maps. And because we made open world maps, we made SnowRunners, we made all these other games. Let's take those types of games and put the physics inside the thing. So instead of just running around the map and being super fast and jumping over the stuff, they make problems on the map. Roadblocks, clear paths, mud where if you walk through, you're getting bogged down. It's up to your waist. It's hard to get through. There's a reason for these things on the map. They do a really good job with this in the game. So you're like, oh, and on top of that, each vehicle has a point. So if you have the Hummer, you got the gunner on the back. If you find the ambulance, it can't go through the dirt very good, but it heals you, right? There's different things, and there's a point to it. You're not like, oh, they all do the same thing. No, each vehicle does something nice for you, has bonuses, has disadvantages. So it's really nice the way they implemented the vehicles in the game with the map and the points of interest on the map.
Seen in World War Z, at least in setup and maybe sometimes their special effects, even though, again, there is some familiarity. But that slightly slower pace gives you time to actually react to the different threats that you're facing and requirements you may have and the open space in which you might encounter them.
Oh, that's another thing. And you want to protect your vehicle. You don't want to lose your vehicle. You're not just using it as a battling ram for everything, you know?
And it sets up a different rhythm than their prior games. And this all depends also on the difficulty system you end up choosing to go into this. You have the 4 levels, as I said before: story, normal, hard, and very hard. Story and normal are pretty straightforward, but hard ramps things up significantly, and very hard is where the game really just shows how nut-crunching it can be. This is also where I want to talk a bit about the bot AI, because it's in here and it's
terrible. I'll be honest with you. It's terrible. The AI is terrible.
probably one of the weakest parts of the entire experience. World War Z bots, they were never the greatest, but most of the time they would shoot a particular way and heal you occasionally. In Toxic Commando, they do that, but combined with the changes in the gameplay, including the vehicles and the developer's desire to reflect travel, it can actually get annoying. Playing with bots hurts in some missions in particular where one person needs to carry something like a device that keeps you from choking to death on sludge god farts and also carry a battery somewhere else, which resulted in me tossing a shield.
Meaning you're doing everything and they're just standing around with knuckle deep, as I call it, just sitting there doing absolutely nothing.
Ahead of me, running back and doing it again. All the while, the bots just looked at me like dogs, confused by a magician hiding a bone behind his back. This means solo players are going to have an exceptionally...
That's a good line. Yeah, you know, like, you know when you cover your mouth when you talk to your dog, and they're like, "What's he saying? What is he saying? Something?"
Difficult time at managing multiple roles that may end up coming in one or two of the coordinated items or objectives that you may have in the game. Now, the AI can open chests if they have the appropriate items. Consider it salvage that turns into lockpicks, basically. You can do the same, and you can order them to do it. You can have them set up traps as well if they have the same thing. But I just would have loved to have seen more interaction because other parts of the game are genuinely hyper exciting. But it's just fun to go out there and pop a couple hundred infected in the head, take out some giant flower shooting a laser beam at you, and there's always just something warped. And also leaping into the cars and driving around, everybody leaning out the windows and shooting enemies.
I'm excited for Crimson Desert. I'm just, even though they came out with the specs, which we're going to go over a little bit after this, I got to see it running on the console. Saying it runs and seeing it run are two different things, and there's plenty of time still before it launches.
It is some absolutely incredible stuff. Does it run incredibly? Well, let's talk about that because performance is next. And this is where a lot of games promise the moon. They deliver a particularly disappointing crater where your computer specs should be. Toxic Commando is running on the Saber Swarm engine. This is the same technology they use for World War Z. And if you know anything about that game, you know it was optimized to handle thousands of enemies on screen without making your GPU try to claw its way out of your computer. And it has all the bells and whistles you would expect. DLSS support for NVIDIA users, FSR, XLSS. It also means a ton of options for frame gen upscaling, frame rate render targets, dynamic resolution scaling. In theory, this should mean even mid-range systems can get pretty decent performance, assuming the game's optimization doesn't completely fall apart. And for a great deal of the game, that's actually true. I was playing with somebody who had an 8 gig card and was doing fine on the lower and middle ranges at a 1080p resolution, and the game was playing fine. But on particular levels, this can take a hit, even on the 4090. If you're running something like a 2080 or 3080, you're going to see commensurate frame rate hits depending on your effects and your resolution. While a lot of the technical options are there that I just mentioned, and they'll help you smooth some things out, there's one or two issues I could not get smoothed out. One particular level that's absolutely packed with forest and different back roads, it felt like there was always a moment where when I was turning around, there was a small...
No, it's this. I don't know if it's the same engine as Space Marines 2. It's the same engine as what's it called? World War Z.
Stutter, and it occasionally showed up, and then it occasionally went away. But it was something that was always this inconvenient feel in that.
It might be though. I would assume it is. I'm not sure.
Particular level that I was like, something seems off here, and it wasn't happening in many of the other levels, even though some of those other levels are by far more complex than what I was playing then. But despite those issues, when it is running well, the game actually has a very good feel to it, casting all kinds of different shadows and lighting everywhere. There were some really good moments, and I liked a lot of the game models, well, except for the main characters and cutscenes. Seriously, I think the in-game models look better, but whatever. The vehicle models themselves
I don't think they look bad. They're not bad.
Actually pretty impressive too. There's some good destruction and some physics here and there, and it all feels really nice, especially a lot of the effects that you have on some of the weapons, EMP blasts and flamethrowers and
that looks good.
And all of that. This makes your vehicle feel a little bit more like a third character in your squad too, when they have some special animation or ability they can pull off. The animations of the infected are also good. They're not particularly new. We've seen a lot of them in prior games.
I mean, what do you want them to do?
But they have a sense of dread that they can impart when you're on top of a car that's ripping down some deserted highway and there's 4 of these infected climbing up the hood. The physics, when it comes down to it, are all borrowed
Let's
straight
go.
from Snow Runner and Mud Runner, which means that vehicles can get stuck in actual mud or be slowed down by the terrain, which adds a really nice layer of strategy, especially when on both sides of that, you have enemies shooting down on you or ones coming up, and they just don't seem to be impacted by the mud at all. And it's pretty crazy when you think about how many games we play where the environment really doesn't make much of an effect at all on characters. Sprinting uphill, sprinting downhill doesn't.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is the same thing I always say about when if you're going to put a vendor in a game, make a reason for the vendor. We'll see what happens with Crimson Desert and stuff like that, right? Like, if you're going to put something in the game, make sure there's a reason that it's in the game.
Make an effect. Running through mud or snow or water, many games still don't have that in effect. So
Right.
to see it here, it was just a really cool feature add. How does everything else come up, though? Let's talk about the audio. For a second, it's a mixed bag here. It's impressive at times. The gun sounds are good enough with a nice loud and upfront, good mixture of high and low frequencies that makes every shot at least sound impactful. You can hear the mechanisms. And when you're laying down suppressive fire to your left while something massive is busting through the woods to your right, the audio does a pretty good job giving you the information.
Audio was a little bit off sometimes, but most parts, it's a really good audio.
You need.
Sound, like design, is a little off.
But under scrutiny, things do start to fall apart a bit. During my playtime, I ran into a pretty significant audio glitch that luckily didn't happen all the time, but when it did, it really did impact a lot of the game. When fighting certain enemies that go through a transform phase, specifically this one creature that slowly grows and then blossoms into a giant blood globe above your head, like the world's most terrifying flower, my gun sounds would immediately disappear, and so would the sounds around me.
Water Bear, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the continued support. What is it, 37 months? It says new member, but I think it's 37 months for you.
And then they would come back after that animation was finished, right when it was finished. And this wasn't a one-time thing either. It happened a couple times. I replicated on 2 different PCs.
No, 35.
It's not enough to completely ruin the
36,
experience, and that
you're
was
up
the
there.
only real time I had a glitch, but it was noticeable, and it broke some of the immersion. The other is that no matter how I set up the audio, far right and far left distance enemies' audio and their location was widely variable. There were times where an enemy sounded like they were far to my right, just directly to my right. And
Right,
when
but
I
they
would
weren't.
turn, I would find them more to my front right instead of the far right. There was something about the way that was separated that really didn't mix well, regardless if I was using the stereo headphones, the different settings, or a surround sound. It just wasn't perfectly dialed in. Now, when it comes to the music, you would expect something with John Carpenter's name to be dialed in. Saber brought on Gunship. This is a synthwave band that's collaborated with John before.
good. Music's
really
good.
contribute some music here, including their title track written
At
specifically
Water
for the
Bear
game.
Mars 8052 celebrates 36 months of membership, 36. Longer than Marathon, Concord, Fair Games, and High Guard will last altogether.
That's funny. Thank you very much for the 36-month support.
When it works, I think it works great. It's not going to be a music style for everybody. I liked it. There were times where, yeah, it fades into something a little bit less driving and almost a little bit more generic than I expected, but it was still enough cool tunes to listen to while you were taking enemies out. The voice acting, it falls into pretty much the same territory, being functional without really being memorable. You've got your standard 80s action tropes, tough guys making tough guy comments, really all the
on,
usual
Kylo?
suspects, but they didn't really hit with any kind of grandeur or even just a laugh. It was more like, oh, here's a one-liner here and let's move on. With John Carpenter's name on it, I was hoping for something a little bit more along his lines, and it didn't feel like there was anything here that really ended up setting it aside. But that's just an expectation of the name and doesn't really impart anything to the game in a negative way. How does all this come together, though? Is Toxic Commando more than the sum of all its bloody, gory parts? I would say concretely, 100% confidence, sometimes. Despite those...
See, that's not good, right? Sometimes. I think it's a worth game if you're by yourself and you have nobody to play with. Just enough. Thank you very much for the continued support. Appreciate you. Right? If you have people to play with, if you have a group of people to play with, even one other person to play with, I think it's a fun game to play. If you're by yourself and you just like playing games by yourself, I don't think you're gonna have a good time by playing with the NPCs. If you play by yourself, but you play with randos, which is it it just brings you in with a group of people, it's a much better time, even if you don't speak to them or whatnot. But if you have a group of people, 100%, I think it's worth your money and time. But if you don't have that group that play with, you might want to hold off, because the game feels very good, and he's going to say it here at the end here, that it just feels like it needs more time in the oven, right? It just feels like it needs more time in the oven.
Occasional graphics issues, the weird audio bugs that seem to happen at random, and the underwhelming bot AI. When I was playing solo or with a group, I found myself actually wanting to come back to it many times. There's something genuinely compelling about the loop of leveling up, getting new weapons, prestiging favorites, and steadily improving your character.
Yeah, it's got the endorphins. It's got like the looter aspect to it. Like, bing ding. Oh, I leveled up my gun. Yeah, it's got all those things. It's not a terrible game in any way, shape, or form.
Your gear, sure, but that's in many games. The powers also don't make a ton of sense. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't like
we
the powers.
see those in a lot of other games. And of course, the ability to respec at any time is appreciated. It means you can completely
I actually think the game would be better off if you didn't have powers.
change your build, which is cool. The gunplay is good enough, and it's pretty goddamn fun with friends. But it's the vehicles and the open gameplay that are just such a nice change up,
Agreed.
especially when you get 2 or 3, you're rolling your own vehicles through the countryside together. And that's really the B-movie moments that felt amazing. But at other times, it felt like they didn't really know exactly how far they wanted to push this, in the same way that they knew how far they wanted to push it with World War Z or perhaps Warhammer, where those IPs are more registered in the human psyche than maybe Toxic Commandos would be. And it feels like we just didn't get enough of a focus on really what would make this special, because to me, I believe that the mixing of 2 parts of different games into this has a place to be special. And there were times that absolutely were. At the same time, many of those moments were held down by bugs, performance issues, and while not completely game-breaking, the audio issues. It just instantly always made me go, man, I want to jump into this. And then the moment I did, I was like, damn, I wish this one thing was fixed, or damn, I wish this AI wouldn't run in front of me again, especially when friendly fire is pretty much always on.
Why would you stand
And that's
there?
why when it comes down to it, listen, $40, I would love to say this in my rating, which you guys know is a buy, wait for a sale, deep sale, or never touch. I would love to say $40, despite the small myriad technical issues, is worth it. But I think the game actually needs a bit more time to cook. And
Agreed.
I think that there are enough elements here that this could be something special, but it isn't right now. It tries, and there are moments where I really enjoyed it. But to me, it needs some more work. The game...
And here's the thing, right? What he just said there, I know it's selling right now. If you buy it by itself, it's $40. If you buy it on Steam and you own Space Marines, they give you $10 off or something like that. If you buy World War Z in this, it's actually like half off. It's like, I think it's also $26, which what that tells me is that they believe in their game, but they don't believe fully in their game. Hence why they put the $40 price tag, and now why they're trying to combine it with something else. They're using Space Marines to sell it. They're using other past games to sell it because World War Z is good now, like Eclipse says, right? Eclipse in chat says, just like World War Z game, it's pretty good now, but when it came out, it was so bad. Okay, I won't say this game is bad, but it definitely needs some time. 100% agree with this. Okay, so just know that you might have issues with this game, and this game will be better in 6 months. This game will be better in 10 months. Now, it's up to you if you want to purchase it or not, okay? But just know that this game is not solidified as a complete game. Not saying content-wise, saying getting out the door bug-wise and whatnot. It's a fun game. And if you don't care that there's bugs and glitches and that they're going to fix it in the next 6 to 8 months and you have to spend your $40 now, by all means, pick it up. Otherwise, you could probably spend $40 better somewhere else that a game came out a year ago and is now better because they've now updated that game 12 months afterwards.
Game is hindered by it, and no matter how much
I'll rewind
it's
just a
special,
second.
but it isn't right now. It tries, and there are moments where I really enjoyed it, but to me, it needs some more work. The game is hindered by it, and no matter how much fun I had, it always popped up. Speaking of always popping up, if you want me to always pop up in your video feeds, if you enjoy these reviews, check out the Friday podcast as well on the ACG.
I like ACG because if you see how his review is, he's not biased in any way, shape, or form. He's just giving you how it is. And at the end, he's not scoring it. He's not telling you, oh, it's a 6, it's a 7, it's an 8. It's buy now, wait. You know what I mean? It's like rent. And because that's the way you should respect the people that want to know. Like, if you want to buy this game, no one's going to stop you from buying the game. Just know that they told you, he told you, I've told you, other people have said there are problems with the game, but if you don't care about those things, then buy the game and have fun. It is a fun game. I did have fun playing the demo, but at the same time, I could wait, you know?
Best podcast.
So ACG's video down below, link in the description. Just click his name, go to his channel, give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it very much. All right, let's go on to, let's look at the specs real fast of Crimson Desert. Did you guys post the specs the other day? Or is that in the general? It was in general. Yeah. No, we don't have it in here. All right, let me look it up real fast. Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert specs. Let's see here. Here it is. All right. So is this this is the GPU. Where's the I need the console one that they were showing.
At Just Enough 215 celebrates 33 months of membership.
Greatest zombie game to ever zombie. You will love it.
Thank you very much for the 33. Continued support. Where's the console one? The dreaded pre-orders chart. Okay, here it is. I got it. All right. So the big thing that everyone was worried about was console, right? It was worried about, is console going to be able to run it? And if not, right? They haven't really shown a lot of footage yet. Now, a lot of people obviously are a little still, right? The industry has hurt us. Show us on this chart where the industry has hurt you. That they're like, what's it going to run like? So the resolution, PlayStation 5, performance, balance, and quality. Resolution at 1080p is 60 frames per second VSync or 60 plus frames per second VRR, and ray tracing at low. Okay. Balanced is upscaled to 4K from 1280p to FSR3, 40 frames per second VSync, and ray tracing is low. And then quality mode is upscaled to 4K from 1440p FSR3, 30 frames per second VSync, and ray tracing high. Okay. PlayStation 5 Pro performance mode is upscaled 4K 1080p upgrade PSSR, 60 frames per second VSync / 60 frames per second VRR, ray tracing high. Balance for PlayStation 5 Pro is upscaled 4K 1440p upgrade to PSSR, 40 frames per second VSync, and ray tracing is high. And then there's quality mode at 4K 30 frames per second VSync, ray tracing is ultra. Okay, so that's the PlayStation and PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, as far as the S and the X go, the S performance mode is 720p at 40 frames per second. Ray tracing is off. Quality mode is 1080p at 30 frames per second, and that's ray tracing is off as well. Okay, Xbox Series X performance is 1080p, 60 frames per second. Okay, 60 frames per second VRR, and ray tracing is low. Balanced is upscaled 4K at 1280p, FSR3, 40 frames per second. Ray tracing is low. And then quality mode is upscaled 4K, 1440p, FSR3, 30 frames per second, VSync, and ray tracing is high. So there you go. So these are, and obviously down here it says requires capable displays of 120 hertz or 240 hertz and HDMI 2.1 cable, requires VRR compatible display and HDMI 2.1 display cable as well. So if you're a person on console and you're like, okay, cool, it's getting, 30, 40, and 60 frames basically across the board. If you have the X, obviously you can do the 1080p at 60. You can do balanced at 4K at 40, or you can do upscale 4K at 30 frames per second, and same with the PlayStation as well. So if you're on the cusp still, now you're still a person that needs to see evidence. You need to see the evidence of the thing. You still have a week. And I'm pretty sure they're going to show some stuff. I think Digital Foundry, they gave Digital Foundry, and Digital Foundry is going to post something hopefully within the next 7 days before it comes out. So if you're still on the fence and you're like, all right, well, now I know it's going to be running that, but is it going to run, like they say it is? Because running at 40 frames or 60 frames is one thing, and then actually running on the actual platform is another. Now, the reason I'm getting it for console and not PC, I have a 3060. I don't have a 3060 Ti. I have a 3060. And because I stream and also play games, it makes it a better experience for you. If I'm just playing this game by myself, I'm getting it for the PC because obviously it'll just run better, right? So here it is for if you're on PC and you want to know, well, is my card going to run it? These guys are like wizards, okay? I don't know how they did it, but they're like wizards. So for PC specs, minimum 1080p from 900p, 30 frames per second, AMD 5500 XT, NVIDIA GeForce 1060. For low 1080p, 30 frames per second at 6500 XT or NVIDIA 1660. Medium requirements is AMD RX 6700 XT and NVIDIA 2800. For high, 1440p 60 frames per second, AMD RX 7700 XT, NVIDIA GeForce 4070. So I'm like here, okay? And then Ultra 4K 60 frames, AMD RX 9070 and NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070 Ti. So there you go. Right, so it's running pretty well for a lot of different systems. So I think you're going to have a lot of sales because of that. So you don't need the high-end machines to run it, and it's still going to look absolutely gorgeous. But there you go. There's the information for you. I still need to see. Excuse me. I still need to see visual. Right. This is I don't pre-order. You guys know I don't pre-order anything. This is not a day one purchase for me until I see the actual footage. Once I see the actual footage running on the console, I'll be like, okay, cool. If it runs and it's a little choppy or whatnot on console, then I'll just wait. I'll wait a week. I'll wait a month. Not a big deal. What's going on, sinners? Jason says, Pocketopia already sold 2 million copies the first 4 days. Insane how big the Pokemon still is. Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, look what Pal World sold, and it wasn't even Pokemon. Let's see. Sinner says, howdy, folks. Fellow gray beards. Craig says, Over the Top runs at 120 frames per second. Over the Top is a good game, man. It's good. It's a good game. Correct. Helldivers is so good, it doesn't even need FPS. I got a 7090 XTX and a 1440p 34 ultra wide. I'm Gucci. There you go. They can't make mini series higher than 30 frames per second. Yeah, I think this game is going to be like the Wizards, right? If this game comes out, whatever their engine is, and it runs super smooth, and they might, other game companies might start using their engine, right? Because I don't know how they did it to get it to run less good, but we'll see. They are wizards over there. They're a wizard, Harry. All right, let me see what else is going on here. We got about 30 minutes left. I got a hard out today at 12 because my son has a half day. August says, well, Pocketopia is literally Pokemon Animal Crossing, so that makes sense. People enjoy the game. They just don't enjoy watching other people play the game. on YouTube live streams. Well, yeah, I watched Wizard's video on it, and it's just Animal Crossing, but that's not a bad thing, by the way. It's not a bad thing that it's Animal Crossing, but Pokemon. We've talked about that all the time. We're like, take a brand that you like and put it into this game mode, that thing that you like, and it's going to sell. Just Enough says, where's the smoke for Over the Top? They have bug fixes on the roadmap. It's an early access game. It's an early access game. What do you mean? Yeah, I'm not gonna watch the new Spider-Man trailer on stream. They're just gonna hit me with it, and then for a minute and a half trailer, I gotta demonetize my entire show for 3 hours. Senator says, I definitely don't pre-order games anymore. Last game I pre-ordered was probably the Zelda. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that isn't Over the Top early access, or is it out? I'm going to stand corrected. I don't think it's in early access. No, it's out. It's out. Yeah, their launch was March 6th. What's on the roadmap? Let's see. There it is, Over the Top roadmap. Launch content, 8 different classes, 12 maps, 3 playable nations, wide arsenal of weaponry, various vehicle tanks and airplanes, early update, bug fixes, I don't know why they do that. No, I resend my statement. On your statement. Yeah, you stand corrected, right? You stand correct to correct it. I retract my statement, Just Enough, right? I don't know why they first of all, fuck your roadmap. I don't give a shit about roadmaps. Like the game, fuck your roadmap. Okay? I don't need your whiteboard. Just make the game. Do not put early updates and bug fixes and stuff like that. That's going to happen regardless. Just take that out of there. Okay? This is why I hate when they put a roadmap and they're like on the wall, they're like, "Oh yeah, we have to do bug fixes and what else do we have to do?" Yeah. Like, no. Take that off there. Okay, just if you're going to put a roadmap and just say what you're going to be adding down the road. And all the content, by the way, is, I believe, free content. I don't think they're charging for the content as well. So, but here's the big difference. Are you ready? Just Enough? Here's the big difference. And this is why indie games get the relaxed restriction compared to the AAA company. I believe there's like less than 10 guys making this game, right? This is not a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry, or I'm sorry, studio, not industry, studio. They're not backed by these large conglomerate companies of EA, Activision, Microsoft, right? All these companies, right? So when a AAA game comes out and it's broke, buggy, and unfinished for a premium price of $70, that's a major problem. When a 10-man studio comes out with a video game and it charges $16 for their video game, it's $20, I believe, on a normal day, and now it's on sale, that's a big difference. Let's see. Kyle says, I'm good with my 27-inch 1440p 280 hertz OLED. I don't have OLED, but I have a 32-inch. It does. I forget what the hertz it does. think there's 180 hertz. I think it's about that. I got it last Christmas. Let's see. Jaguar says I might have to upgrade my NVIDIA GPU for The Witcher 4 because 3 hits my 3090 pretty hard. Jason says the game cracked me up the other day with the people on the mics and the bagpipes. Yeah, it's a fun game. That's it. It's a fun game. A clip says exactly. You're like seeing a roadmap for something like this because it makes you feel better about your purchase because they're indie. Right. And indie gets put in a different category because there's smaller teams, smaller price. But the big companies want to be treated like the indie companies, but they charge full price. And they're $200 million, $300 million. And indie companies don't come after you if you don't like their game. They're like, how do we make our game better? Where the big companies look at you and say, you don't like our game, you're sexist, racist, misogynistic, and you guys are all just love to hate games. These are the two different differences between these things. All right, here's a video. Let me bring this video up here. What time is it? 11:39. We've got a video from Kaplan here. Here's a clip.
For me, like what sort of...
Okay, here we go. Now, this is a clip. I don't know where the full... I forget the guy's name. I know it's Kaplan. I forget the guy's name for the podcast. You'll see it and you'll know. We've watched this stuff in the past. I just can't think of his name right now. So this is Jeff Kaplan. Jeff Kaplan used to work for Blizzard Entertainment. He was the head of Blizzard Entertainment. He created Overwatch, basically, okay? So we're going to listen to him speak for 54 seconds about what happened to Overwatch, okay?
And what it boiled down for me, like what sort of ultimately broke me in my Blizzard career was I got called in the CFO's office.
Now remember, Kaplan is a developer who then became, right, who became the lead of Blizzard.
And he sits me down and he says, he gives me a date, which at the time was 2020 and was going to slip to 2021, but at the time it was 2020. And he said, Overwatch has to make...
Dollar amount was bleeped to respect Jeff's confidentiality agreement with the company.
In 2020. And then every year after that, it needs a recurring revenue. And then he says to me, if it doesn't do dollars, we're going to lay off 1,000 people, and that's going to be on you.
Now, the reason I bring this up is because, remember, regardless if you like Jeff or don't like Jeff, Jeff was just a developer. He worked his way up and became the head or the lead of Overwatch and Blizzard at the time. And this is the difference between devs and corporate. Okay? There are people cut from a different cloth, different piece of stone, okay? Where people that work in corporate businesses that are the leads do not care. You are a number on a piece of paper if you work for the company, and you're definitely a number to somebody if you're buying the thing that they're selling. So when he comes up to him and says, I'm just going to say numbers here. I don't know if this is what it is. We need to make $20 billion for Overwatch, and every year after that, we got to make an additional $20 billion for the next 5 years. And if we don't do that, I'm going to fire. I'm going to fire 1,000 people, but you're going to have to fire 1,000 people, and that's going to be on you. So you better get to work, because dance for me, puppet. Okay, because this is what we have to do, right? And he's a developer. He just wants to make a video game. But corporate dude that he's saying, who basically was like, you either do this or you leave. And he's like, I can't do it. I can't make the decision. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of stress on me. I'm talking about Jeff, okay? His name's Jeff, right? Jeff Kaplan, right? Yeah, Kaplan. Where he's like, I can't deal with this. And that's why he was like, I'm out. And look how it changed. Look how Overwatch changed. Overwatch changed to Overwatch 2. And they were supposed to make all these single player things happen. They were supposed to do all of these things. And they scrapped it all. Because if they put those in the actual game, they were going to make whatever number he just said. Hence why they had to make it a free-to-play game to get the microtransactions and get people in there. And that's before Marvel Rivals came out because they had no competition. So let's listen to this again. Let's listen to this again. Another 54 seconds.
And what it boiled down for me, like what sort of ultimately broke me in my Blizzard career was I got called in the CFO's office and he sits me down and he says,
now I want you to,
he gives me a date.
You know he's telling the truth again. I like reading people, okay? If you look at his eyes, he never looks down because he's not making anything up, right? They're not making anything up. He's looking directly at, I forget the guy's name. I can't think of the host's name, okay? Or he's looking up, and when you look up, you're remembering things. It's like you're going to your brain and you're looking at things. When you look down, you're lying, and when you look straight, you're confident. Okay, Lex, thank you very much, Mr. Z, right? Freeman, right? Lex Freeman, is that his name? He's looking up because this is exactly what he had, and obviously he's telling the number, and he can't say the number out loud because it's NDA.
Which at the time was 2020 and was going to slip to 2021, but at the time it was 2020. And he said, Overwatch has to make...
And I want you to watch Lex's face. Lex is a very, very, like, relaxed dude. But watch his eyes after he says the second number.
In 2020. And then...
Look at his eyes. He's like, looks down, is like, yeah, that's fucking brutal. You know that he knows. He's like, yeah, that's just basically the way it is.
Every year after that.
That's right there. He's like, yep. Yeah, it's unsustainable. It's unsustainable.
It needs a recurring revenue. And then he says to me, if it doesn't do...
And you see Lex's face like, because he's looking back around, he's looking at Jeff going, holy shit. And then he looks like, that's fucking nuts, dude.
We're going to lay off 1,000 people, and that's going to be on you.
Now, obviously, it's not on him, but it is on him because that's what he said. Right? And that's a threat. That's a threat for whoever said that to him. If it was Bobby, could have been Bobby, or whoever was under Bobby to tell him. Okay? But that's what it is. You got to do this. Right. The fucking number is crazy. Right? Whatever that number is. And you gotta and this is the disconnect from the devs hate corporate. We hate corporate. We don't hate the dev. Gamers don't hate the devs. We hate the corporatization of the devs. Right? The devs are the worker bees or the worker ants. They're just trying to make the thing they want to make. But there's this above them. There's the corporate overlords that change the fundamental things of the games. And this is why we talk about it all the time on this channel about do not give corporatization your money because they're not trying to make a game for you. They're trying to make a product, okay, that is the minimal viable product. They're trying to make the bare thing to get the most money out of you. And our job as the consumer, the customer, the fan, is to make sure that we're getting the best product for the cheapest price. Because why am I going to pay 70, now 80, okay, dollars for a game that's going to be broke, buggy, and unfinished, and then I got to wait 6, 8, 12, 24 months for that game to finish, and then it's worth the money. But by that time, it's not worth full price anymore. It's at $40. It's at $20, right? And so again, when we're pissed off, when I talk about video games on here, I'm not mad at Kaplan here. I'm not mad at the Joseph Poo on Twitter that worked on Hygard, okay? I'm mad at the situation of what the game industry has turned into. It's turned into minimal viable product, most money possible. And this is why I say do not pre-order, do not buy day one, do not get full price for a half-ass game. Right? And that is the thing. Right? We're on the same page. But the developers, some developers I should say, they think we're against them. No, we're against the practices that they're doing. You shouldn't. This is not a hostage situation. You're making games. He's mad at Xbox guys. Why is he mad at Xbox guys? His stories before Xbox got purchased them, Roadkill. Or are you saying he's mad at Xbox guys for some other reason? Ray says, big question. Is the UK suing everyone because they're broke? Maybe. Roadkill says, we're all going to get taken on Crimson Desert. Don't pre-order. I mean, you do what you want. I'm waiting to see footage on console before I dedicate $70 to the game. But the game looks wonderful. The game looks wonderful. There's nothing wrong with being a educated customer instead of just take my money. Let's see what's happening on Twitter. What time? We got about 10 minutes. Jaguar says, I'm playing Vanilla WoW until the Digital Foundry's video. Yeah, just be more aware. Just get all the information before you blindly give your company money. People gave money for Battlefield 6. Broke. Still broke. People gave money to Cyberpunk when it came out. Broke. People gave money to Fallout 76. And broke. 2042. Broke. Monster Hunter Wilds. Broke. They pushed it back to April. I forget what it was, Roadkill. I think they pushed it back to April, I think is when it comes out now. Actually, I can look it up for you real fast because I think it's on the PI. That comes out April 16th. April 16th. That's the date they have now. Ooh, the He-Man Masters of the Universe beat 'em up comes out April 28th. That's good. Yeah, they would have, even though it has nothing to do with the same type of game, Eclipse, if that came out on the exact same day as Crimson Desert, they're done. They're done. They had to move the runway to something else. They're like, let's push it out there. Yeah, but Jaguar, that's the conversation. To say it's worth it now. Well, obviously, it's years later now. It took them 3 years to fix that game for people that gave their money day one. That's the issue. Right? That's the problem. Sarge says, do you guys see how crazy that is? They're demanding a dollar amount before the game even comes out. How the hell you predict how popular of a game is? How do you set the permanent value? Yeah, exactly. Not 3 years, 6 months. No, it took 3 years to fix that game. For the old systems that they said they were going to launch on, yeah, no, it took 3 years to fix the game. Maybe not for you, for your PC or whatever, but for the Xboxes and the PlayStation 4s that it was supposed to run on, yeah, it took two and a half years. There was actually still things, right? There were still things that they showed in the trailer that didn't even come into the actual game until 3 years later. No, that was Overwatch 1 going into 2, just enough. He was 2020, so it was when Overwatch 2 wasn't announced yet for him during that story that he was telling. No, but there were still things in console. Maybe they fixed that in 6 months, but there were still things at console, or not console. There were still things in PC that wasn't in the game. They didn't complete the game that they showed that was in the game, which is still false advertisement. And again, this is not a cyberpunk problem, right? This is a industry-wide problem. Industry-wide problem. Let's see here. What else we got? Premium went up today for YouTube. Premium Lite just expanded background play offline downloads. It's $7.99 per month. Premium is $13.99 a month. Okay. Those of you that want to know, Toxic Commando is deck playable as well. So if you guys have a Steam Deck and you're like, oh, cool, I can play that on there. Maybe that's another bonus for you that want to pick that game up if you didn't know. Crimson Desert, for those of you that like or don't like this type of stuff, Crimson Desert reveals it will use controversial DRM just a week before launch. Bum, bum, bum. The upcoming open world RPG will use de novo on Steam, angering fans who already pre-ordered. Now, here's another reason. Here's another reason that you don't pre-order. Right? They're all excited. They're like, yeah, I'm going to pre-order. And they're like, oh, man, de novo. And they're like, well, I'll take my money back, please. So upcoming open world RPG Crimson Desert has a lot of hype surrounding it, with many worried it might look too good to be true. But just a week ahead of the game's March 19th release, players learn that Crimson Desert will launch with de novo DRM on PC, and people aren't happy about it. They're never happy about it. Just remove this game and put any other game every time DRM is on the actual fucking thing. And it's the same. You can write the same article, just change the game. Okay. On March 12th, the Spotlight the Gamer user on Reddit, Crimson Desert official Steam store page has quietly updated and now includes a small alert about DRM. Okay. As confirmed by SteamDB, this text was added to the store page on Thursday, de novo DRM, and while it's certainly improved over the years, it's not the fan favorite amongst PC players. The DRM designed to stop people from cracking the game and spreading it online via pirate sites, and mostly works excuse me, as accomplishment the task. However, de novo has caused performance issues in many other games in the years, something that the company has admitted in the past. So players were pleased to learn that just a week before, or weren't pleased to learn that just a week before, Crimson Desert would include de novo DRM. Now, it's funny that they spend billions of dollars, these corporations, to stop piracy from happening, but basically Steam itself stopped piracy from happening because they just made a good community where people are like, oh, it's a fair price. Oh, I have achievements. I have all these things on Steam. So this is why people hate de novo, because people that pirated things get a better version of the actual game than the people that buy the full price game. Isn't that crazy? That's how the world works, right? If you want something and you do the correct way, you got to jump through 19 hoops. But if you're just a criminal, you could just take the fucking thing and it runs 100 times better. It's absolutely insane. But there you go. If you're a person that didn't like DRM and you're like, I'm getting it for PC, and now you're like, oh shit. Well, now you have a dilemma. You're like, I hate DRM, but I really like the game. What's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Most of you are going to crumble and you're still going to get the game because you really don't care about the DRM. You pretend that you care about the DRM. Another reason why I get console games most of the time, because it runs like shit sometimes when these things are on the actual platform. But there you go. There's more information for you if it affects you in some way, shape, or form. Ray says, well, the PC requirement charts are now invalid. There you go. I never pirate day one games. It's just as annoying because you have to pirate each update. All right, what time is it? And that's about it. I got to do a hard out at 12. So we're going to call it a day there. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel for our podcast that we do every single day on Thursdays, or every single week on Thursdays. Not every single day, every single week on Thursdays, called Generation X Gaming, a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. That's 8 p.m. tonight, right here on 30 NSG. I appreciate everyone coming out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you'd like to go above and beyond that. Check out our songs that we have. Perk Up and Press Play, Volume 1 on Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Apple Music. Anywhere you can download music, it's there. Volumes 1 and 2, Perk Up and Press Play. Appreciate it very much. And I'll see you guys this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern with Sarge. Peace.
A vision in your mind, a world unbuilt, a hero undefined. Sketches on paper, a story to be told. Dreaming of the magic, the pixels turn to gold. Code and design, long nights in the grind. Passion's the fuel when the stars don't align. From the art to the sound, every piece in its place. Building up a masterpiece, one line of code, one face. Make a game, sell a game, bring the dream alive. With blood, sweat, and tears, it's the reason we strive. From the heart to the screen, let the passion remain. Through the highs, through the lows, make a game, sell a game. Debugging the chaos, fixing every bug, pouring love into levels, giving players a hug. Balancing the battles, perfecting every move. Every click, every jump, it's the rhythm of the groove. Teams come together, each one plays a part. Programmers with logic, artists with heart. Composers weave the music, writers craft the lore. Every piece a puzzle to make players want more. Make a game, sell a game, it's the ultimate test. Turning sleepless nights into something that's the best. From the heart to the screen, let the passion remain. Through the highs, through the lows, make a game, sell a game. road is so long, but with each milestone you're proving you belong. When the launch day arrives and the players press start, you'll